I think basically last session was we fought the session before last. We fought Power, and then we had most of Cricket's Ring, if I remember correctly.
So
that's the recap.
Right, you guys were like in the middle of the giant fight, and you weren't sure what was going to happen with the
because
they'd
gone to replace the Serpent Queen, but Sir Astrid was still there. Right. Sir Astrid was one of the Knights of the Banner, one of the like avatars of heroism. Yeah. She was supposedly died on the quest for the Triforce, but she was there to make the wish.
And there were some vague questions about what her role was, because she was supposed to be dead. Was she actually going to become the Serpent Priest, or was she actually just carrying? Was she there to be the person to do the wish? Yeah, those kind of questions.
And then Sir Astrid got her ass.
And then she got her butt kicked by the party.
Well, Power was scary.
Yeah.
You know,
it could hit for 200 damage.
It could hit for 200. You could take Croesus down with one shot in the right circumstances, and then Croesus is our shield.
Unresistible damage. Yeah.
So the fight with Power. Basically, at the end of the session before that, we took down Courage, and we had dominated Wisdom. Mm-hmm. So Wisdom was out.
Right. Wisdom was the Wisdom was the Vanthus of the group.
Yes, wisdom was not her strong point.
Yeah.
So we just piled into Power, and I'm trying to remember if there were any. I mean, we hit her with some critical hits and ruined her, but she was still scary, even though we'd ruined her.
Right.
Yeah. Some of the more interesting things were
we disarmed her.
Yes.
She had this enormous sword. Yeah. And
like
normally in 4th edition,
comically anime-sized sword. Yeah.
In 4th edition, disarm isn't a thing.
Right.
But one of the critical hit effects.
It's like one of the best ones.
Right.
You hit in the arm and then you can disarm. And so Gerard disarmed her, and then you cinematic point to make a sleight of hand, I guess it was, to disarm her and hurl it under the bed so she couldn't find it, so she didn't know where it was, to just pick it back up again. And then immediately after that, someone critted her in the face and blinded her.
Oh, man.
So
she was blind and unarmed, but she was still scary.
Yeah. What I did was I just had her go berserk. She can't see, and she's just punching everywhere. I just had her do half damage, which is interesting because she couldn't be weakened, but essentially she was weakened.
Yeah. I think at one point, was it Hank that decided to throw down his weapons and just go fisticuffs with her?
Yeah, because he kept missing. I just missed and missed and missed, and he was like
in great frustration.
But he was in the form of Dastria, so it was like this, and he was enlarged. So it was these two large-sized women go into this grapple battle in the end,
punching the heck out of each other. I think Hank delivered the finishing blow as well.
Yes, he did some kind of crit to the torso.
Punched her in the gut and just kablamo. But it was a nasty fight. I don't think any of us went down in it, but it was always like because
Croesus went to 0. I think,
that's right, he did. Croesus did go to 0
when Power slammed him against the far wall and he couldn't resist the damage.
Croesus not only went to 0, but he got flung across the room.
It also sucked for Power because she had an ability where she could just go swinging her sword, walking at her speed, and everyone she walked through just got hit with massive damage and hurled aside.
Right.
But Wisdom was dominated by the party. And Wisdom, when someone's dominated, you can only use her at will, and Wisdom's at will slows the target. So every turn, Wisdom would hit Power and slow down Power, which is somehow metaphorical, you know. Like Wisdom
is holding
slow
Power
down,
back,
you know, let's not get out of control.
Yep. But yes, we ultimately managed to defeat Power, which left us with just Wisdom, but she's dominated. So we had to go stand in the corner.
Because they knew that once they defeated, mainly because I said that, I'm like, okay, so you defeat Wisdom and this happens. They're like, wait, we're not doing that. So they knew that once Wisdom was defeated, I think this was obvious anyway.
Sir Astrid,
the real Sir Astrid would come back. And so they had her dominated to the end of the encounter, which is like roughly 5 minutes. So they're like, we need 5 minutes. Go stand in the corner and don't observe anything. So that's what Wisdom did.
Pretty much, yes.
I mean, what it was up against, that seemed pretty wise.
Surrender is wisdom.
So they've got Wisdom standing in the corner. There's still people pounding on the door, but the pounding is somewhat lessened as there's some sort of battle going on out there.
So Cricket whips out a black cobra and jabs herself with it. So now she's fatally poisoned because we're trying to replicate the scenario. Croesus grabs the original Serpent Queen, Melody, and murders her.
There was some talk about trying to save her, but she's fatally poisoned. There's no way to save her except for like this wish that they're taking.
I totally had a way to save her, but Croesus was totally dead set on. I want to stab her with my spear. I'm going to put her in the spear.
Were you going to put her in a rock?
I was putting her in a rock. Yeah, save her in a rock.
And try to get another wish or something.
No, I had plans, but they're for naught, of course, because Croesus stabbed her with a spear because Croesus is Croesus.
Put her in a box and then in a kitchen for years, turn her into a domestic.
Well,
there is the option of leaving out the memory filter. I have some long-term plans there, but
memory filter?
Yeah, so that you put them in a domestic body, but they remember their past life. So essentially, we have the mechanism we need to provide immortality for the populace.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be something to offer up in the post-campaign possibilities. See, the thing is, I don't really have any plans for after baseline because I don't know the future, and it had better stay that way. It's very important coming up that we have rigidly defined areas of doubt and uncertainty. But anyway, I'm jumping ahead.
I guess you didn't really mention anything about having a plan at the time, so they saw it as just like...
I totally did, at every opportunity, and they were like, nope, we're killing her, we're killing the queen.
I don't remember it that way, but because the discussion I heard was basically, well, we could bring her to baseline, but then she'll just horribly die over the course of a week. Yeah. Or we could just kill her now. Right. Those are our only options.
Like mercy
I kept saying, put her in a stone, we can deal with it later.
And then they were like, but
why?
Yeah, there was no indication of why besides...
Because she's my mother figure.
But it was super confusing.
I imagine the scene was just going to be Cricket going up to her mother figure, just putting a pillow on her face.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
Anyway, everyone was dead set on her dying except me, and I'm just Cricket, so she died.
Yeah, you're just the queen.
Yeah, you're just the queen.
Well, not yet. So yeah, they killed her and put her away. And of course, it's actually not as bad as it seems, because she actually wasn't my mother figure, as it turns out. It was me. So yeah. So yeah. Anyway, and the Butcher of Brackenridge is innocent.
Yeah.
People should only be guilty of the things they've actually done. Anyway.
You're saying that Cricket should be executed?
She did get killed at least one point in history. But we'll get to that. Jumping ahead. So
Wisdom
yes.
is looking in the corner.
Wisdom is the corner. We set everything up. Cricket's in bed pretending to be the serpent, the Melody. She's not Serpent Queen yet. And then we coup de grace Wisdom or whatever. I don't know how we did it. I guess we must have done something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about it because it was a freebie. Yeah. They opened the basement under the bed so that Serendipity could be casting the lock time ritual, so no one could interfere with this moment in time.
So then the super sword fell into the basement.
The super sword probably disappeared when we defeated Power, because Power herself disappeared.
Right.
Otherwise, this Triforce thing is a source of free swords. That's way overpowered.
Right. Yeah, so they coup de grace her, and she disappeared.
Reappears.
The Triforce did its thing, and Sir Astrid reappears. And then Cricket, as a Serpent Queen, said, they ran away, but...
I'm dying, quickly, do the thing.
And discouraging her from, looking around or considering anything, I need your help right now. And so basically, Sir Astrid believes that the party, somehow lost and ran away.
Or something. It doesn't matter, because there's what?
You swine them, and then in their bodies.
Yes.
Yeah, that was... Yeah. And it's believable, because she just clearly had some weird experience. Mm-hmm. And so...
So anyway, she wakes up the lawyer guy, and the lawyer guy whips out his document, and he's like, but it's not done yet. Sir Astrid's like, doesn't matter, we have to go and do this. So Sir Astrid says, I give assent to this wish. And then the lawyer guy reads out the wish. So it's Sir Astrid that's making the wish.
Which is interesting, because only someone who's worthy can make the wish.
Yeah.
And so I guess previously it was assumed the Serpent Queen must have been worthy, but really it was Sir Astrid who was worthy.
Right.
And we're not sure if anyone in our party would be able to make the wish.
Although the whole time, every opportunity, John is like, maybe I should take the Triforce. Why don't I try to take the wish?
No, stop it!
It was actually pretty good, because they'd be having this long discussion about, should we kill the Serpent Queen, and there'd be like a lull in the conversation, and Gerard would be like, hey, I have an idea. I could just take the Triforce.
And then we were like, no, we just do things. All right.
Which one's John?
Gerard.
Gerard.
Ben Gerard,
Yeah,
the Indiana Jones-ish
Yes.
type who's totally into...
Be John's wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
The loot taker.
The absolutely not qualified.
Yeah. So anyway, so the wish is cast, and Sir Astrid's life force is ripped from her body and transferred into Cricket, who then starts this horrible transformation into the Serpent Queen, and it's all very screamy and dramatic, and I assume that some budget was spent on this cutscene.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so
Because-
that explains why Sir Astrid
Died.
And
However,
and Sir Astrid is a legendary being, and the Serpent Queen is a legendary being. So her legendary beingness was
Yeah.
used by the wish to.
so I want the points that I spent on her in world building back, so that I can spend them on something else now.
Now, was she killed by the Triforce, or is that part of the wish?
I think it was part of the wish.
Yeah.
A wish, I guess, is killed by the Triforce because it executes the wish. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, that was not the price of using the
Oh,
Triforce.
no,
that was
no,
like
it was-
the lawyer betrayed.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a long-winded document that would be very hard to understand, and intentionally obfuscated the fact that
Yeah.
that Sir Astrid would be used to as
Power.
And it turns out Sir Astrid's wisdom is not her strong point anyway,
Right.
so...
Though I did point out it has to be good enough for her to be worthy, because you got to be wise, powerful, and courageous.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
definitely her worst.
Yeah.
It's like she's just barely worthy on the wisdom.
However, I still had Word of Life, a daily. I hadn't spent it. It's when an ally goes to 0 hit points, I can make him spend a healing surge. And I had a cinematic point that Sir Astrid herself had given the party because of the Triforce thing. So I used a cinematic point and Word of Life, and I stopped her from dying. Yeah.
So she's no longer immortal.
She's no longer immortal, but she actually survived.
She's instead of being
Yeah.
a level 30 solo legendary being, she's a
Yeah.
level 6 paladin now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought that was pretty cool that Cricket's in the midst of like this horrible cutscene.
Yeah.
And I did a quick time event that saved.
Press X to
Yes.
save Astrid.
Yes.
Now, the tech to have that happen in the middle of this cutscene must have been taking a while to build.
Yeah. Well, John's the
Yeah, we're not pleased
conversation
with
guy.
We're not
so-
pleased with you, Brian.
Anyway,
Now, can you make it a single?
Yeah.
As long as
is a bard.
PTSD.
Cricket's a bard. So the substitution has occurred, and now Cricket is going to be the Serpent Queen.
Yeah.
And so in the immediate aftermath, Sir Astrid is very baffled. She's just had another weird experience. Oh, and the guards rush in to finally get the door down, and we see that there's a bunch of dead Warforged out in the hallway,
Of course.
and some dead guards. They've been fighting the Warforged.
Right.
Yeah, they were supposed to burst in during the fight, but the door got locked in a way they couldn't get through.
So I try and basically do the, okay, everyone, let's stop fighting now, because, you know, everything is resolved and we should not fight each other anymore. We need to look forward to making the Empire great and all that kind of stuff.
You didn't save the lawyer from being killed in time.
I
though.
didn't save the lawyer. I didn't expect the lawyer to get massacred like
Who
that.
killed the
So
One of the
Sir Astrid
guards ran out.
died. Oh yeah, when the guards came in, one of the guards came in after the wish was cast and stabbed the lawyer through the back, and he died.
Yeah.
And he said, "I thought you were gonna spare me." And died.
Yeah. So I really, I don't know what was up with him. I guess I would have tried to investigate afterwards, but I don't know if I'd have been able to figure out.
Killed all the witnesses. No one knew what was in the wish.
Ah, I see.
I would expect that was what Melody's plan.
Okay. Well, anyway. Oh yeah, and the wish split into 4 pieces and flew off into the world magically. Just like the document that the wish was written on, as well as the Triforce split up and flew away. So I guess that was part of the wish or something.
I went over to the dungeons that you guys don't have to do.
So everyone in the party is like, okay, I guess we got to stick Sir Astrid into a rock now. And I'm like, why not just take her with you to baseline? It's
Right.
much simpler than sticking her in a rock. But I don't know.
When you have a hammer, everything is a nail.
I know. I was baffled. I really don't understand.
They didn't want to tell her about time travel
I'm
I
totally,
think it was
I'm totally
reasonable.
going to be telling her about time.
because they also didn't want. If they took her to baseline, it'd be like, "Hey, we're kidnapping you against your will because you're now a level 6 paladin, so we're the boss, and we're taking you to the future, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then she would set out and be like, I'm mad, and probably the Serpent Queen's bad. Whereas if she gets put in a boulder by who knows who, and then they get to be the ones who wake her up. They're like, we saved you from this boulder. Unfortunately, you were locked in here for thousands of years. And then she's like, oh, thank you. You're good guys now. And so that was why they bouldered her.
And they are constantly like, are you going to go evil? Are you going to turn evil? And I'm the one that wants to, like, you know, be on the level with the paladin and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, we'll get to that. So,
Guards rush in.
All that happens. I give a speech. I do a diplomacy check. They decide, hey, maybe it'd be cool to have an awesomely powerful, weird snake thing on our side when we fight the dwarves next time. And so I start down the path of becoming a Serpent Queen. And everyone's like, all right, Cricket, you deal with this. We'll go meet you in 1,500 years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I took out my to-do list. I had a pre-planned, extensive to-do list of all the various things I was going to set right.
Right.
Let's see, what were some of the things I did? I took up cooking, became very skilled at cooking, interior decorating, flower arrangement, things like that.
Okay. And you could make cheese out of anything, right?
I can do that, yes. Why does everyone focus on that, though? I mean, I can make other kinds of food. I prevented a bunch of wars by using my direct influence. Basically, my assumption is that the original Serpent Queen, her whole thing was serve me, do things for me.
Right.
Whereas Cricket's whole thing is I will serve you. And so this time throughout the history of the Empire, I was doing an awful lot of proactive, like going out and solving problems type of stuff. I would use direct diplomacy. Where that failed, I would assassinate, that kind of thing.
Like a hero.
Yes, like a hero. And as a result, many, many wars would not happen that would have happened. Now, in order to get rid of all those soldiers that history recorded as having died, I arranged to become an ally with the Oblin, and I would send them to go and help guard the edges of the rift.
And that didn't cause the rift to be more closed.
It did cause it to be more closed, but not more closed enough to disrupt the basics.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter if the rift is 1 kilometer wide or 2 kilometers wide.
It's still open.
Yeah, it's not like there was some Oblin Evil Knievel who tried jumping the rift one time and didn't quite make it.
Not in the original timeline. Now that it's Narrower.
What were you thinking right before?
Yeah.
I was thinking, should I get a puppy? I remember thinking, should I leave the oven on? What do you think I was thinking? I was thinking,
Let me see. There was some other stuff. I set up the retirement program for slaves. When slaves get too old or worn out or broken or whatever to, be useful. In this timeline, there's a retirement program. A slave owner can turn them over to the state for a tax credit, and they get to live out the rest of their days in, relatively nice conditions and all that kind of stuff. And then when they quote-unquote die, I stuff them in a rock and use them in the foundation of the Temple of Freedom, so that later on, as planned, I'll be able to set the paid slaves free, as they were supposed to be.
So this was before painslaving existed, right?
It was well before painslaving existed. Painslaving only existed since right before the war.
Right.
So these were just regular slaves.
What else happened?
But they had lived their whole lives and were about to die, so I wasn't depriving them of anything. So other things I did. I saved the Dryad's trees. If you recall, Aderon in our party originally was on a quest because a bunch of loggers from the Empire of Endless Flowers had cut down all of the Dryad's trees to make wands out of them.
Make what out of them?
Wands. Because they're very magically conductive wood. So I put a stop to that, so that never happened. Problem, of course. Now, why would Aderon join the party? So, shortly before Aderon was going to meet Aurora for the first time, I went to Aderon. I contacted him and said, hey, I need you to be my agent and tell all these lies and pretend that you're on this quest. Fortunately, Aderon was okay with that idea and went with it. Because otherwise, no, if he didn't, I would have bonked him on the head and been Aderon. So yeah, poor Aurora. All of her friends would have been just fakes and lies. As it was, he was somewhat of a fake and lie because he was operating under my instructions. I assume he had one of those Triforce pendants in order to hold us up.
Keep it hidden, though.
Oh.
I mean, the only instruction he had to do was, hey, go on this quest and say your trees are cut down.
Yeah, and then when Cricket helps you fake your death, go ahead along with that.
What does Cricket look like now?
Giant black cobra with horns.
Okay.
She kept the horns.
Do you have
Oh, no arms. No, no arms. You can tell she's the good version of the Serpent Queen because she's got horns. The evil version of the Serpent Queen didn't have horns.
Yeah, what else got changed in history?
Well, then it came time to make the domestics, and I got some researchers to work on that. And this is where things went a little awry. They were unable to make it work.
What period of history was this?
This is about 16 years ago. This is like right after the war or during the war.
Did you have the war?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Yeah, had to have the war.
There was one point throughout all of this that I did actually do the maniacal laughter thing, and that was when I changed who killed the Serpent Queen. Conan the Barbarian was just some minor figure in history that accomplished nothing of any significance. I changed it.
Yeah.
I had the Empire's own military turned against the Serpent Queen.
Oh.
Because she was adamant that no, we must give up this pain slavery thing. It is wrong and evil.
So, pain slavery still got invented.
Oh yeah, it had to be.
It's too critical to everyone's timeline.
Who actually invented it?
I don't know actually. I guess I would in character know.
I don't know. I was never specified.
Was it like Corbland or?
No, it doesn't really matter.
Jim the douchebag scientist?
So I basically sort of said, my reign and this evil are incompatible with each other. And so the military was like, all right, stab. And so after the war, it was all the military's fault for all the evil that went on.
Right.
So basically, I was able to throw them under the bus. And
Cricket had carefully crafted to make sure that she had evil, untrustworthy generals that would betray her.
I picked out the most
Snidely Whiplash.
Yes. I was like, he looks like a Quisling. Let's arrange for him to be my trusted lieutenant.
What do you think, General Von Steppington?
Judas and.
Actually, I used the name General Cassius. He was the guy that orchestrated the assassination of Julius Caesar.
Right.
I think he was the ringleader, wasn't he?
There were a couple. Cassius and Brutus.
Yeah. But anyway, so I laughed then, and it was my first evil laugh.
You undid my.
Yeah. But then I had the researchers, in their secret labs. I told them, like, this is what I need. I need you to figure out a way to, turn these goat things and goats and cattle or whatever into humanoid intelligent without souls. Can't have souls.
Yeah.
And they were like, did a bunch of work. I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, we can't. It doesn't work. I'm like, try harder. It's possible. I know it is possible.
Maybe we could just say they don't have souls.
Like, no. You have failed me. Pull the lever. Wait a second. I don't do that. Yeah.
In the end, they try for a long time and do a lot and really try hard, and they come back to the conclusion, if it thinks and it feels, it has a soul. That's what a soul does. It thinks and feels.
And that's when I realized the horrible truth of why this wasn't working.
Because your scientists are lying to you?
Because the only way to make a proper domestic is if you use a pain slave specifically as the raw materials. Because their soul has already been brutalized by the process of pain slavery. The act of turning a pain slave into a domestic kills the soul in the process.
I told you Brian happened.
But a regular slave, like the ones we have filling the basement, their souls haven't been brutalized, so they survive the process. So, the only way to make properly soulless domestics is with the pain slaves. And of course, one of the researchers is like, I don't think it works that way. I'm like, silence! I'm thinking. I have a hard decision to make. And so,
shut up, Morty.
yeah. So, I decide, in the interests of goodness and light, to sacrifice the very existence of my people, as it were. And I go ahead with the plan of using the slaves I've collected over the years and letting all the actual pain slaves go free, which means domestics now have souls.
And no tests are done on pain slaves.
There's no point. I mean, it's already been ruined. The plan is ruined.
So Cricket's theory is never tested.
What do you mean theory? I know it to be true. It's an axiom, not a theory. You don't test axioms. Of course, we still use Katrina, still set all that up. So Cricket is still created soulless, which means that Cricket is now the only proper domestic in existence. Well, there's these 15 others, but it's not enough.
Because they saw in Cricket's batch, they went in batches of 8, and they saw 2 batches happening, so they had to actually do that.
Yeah, I actually had to set up that Chamber of Horrors and run 2 batches of pain slaves through them.
Why are we doing this?
I was having to run 2 separate secret organizations, essentially. The good ones and the bad ones. So that I could keep sending the evil ones off to get killed by the party.
Are we baddies?
Yes, you are the baddies. You are the goodies. And you're not supposed to know about each other's existence. Well, I guess the goodies probably knew about the baddies.
So yeah, you were basically running an evil secret society who, at its core, had a good secret society within the evil secret society.
That was secretly running the evil secret society. Yes, that was very amusing.